ever think to yourself, what if the door just wasn't in the way of everything? Hello, everybody. Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Coachman today. I'm in a big display with a whole bunch of new stuff for 2025 all pulled up here, and I was actually walking through to the fifth wheels, and I saw this, and I went, what? I didn't realize they were making this floor plan. I just stumbled into this, and this is a really fun kind of floor plan right here. Anytime something doesn't have bunks, we call it a couples camper, but I look at this RV, and there's many aspects to this that say to me, like, this is really well-tuned for, like, solo RVing. Not everything is just about couples camping, although you totally could right here. But this is also what I call a towable truck camper archetype, basically, where if you look at the floor plan, it's basically the footprint of a truck camper, but you tow it behind your bumper. And one of the cool benefits of that is you actually get more space, more storage, you can have more features and more room for the same or less money and require a vastly less gutsy tow vehicle to move it around, because a truck camper, you need a really hefty payload to carry those things. You don't necessarily have that problem on the travel trailer when mostly you're dragging it behind you. So what are we looking at here? So Remote is a basically the little brother member of the Apex Nano family of Coachman lightweights, and the construction's essentially the same, where we've got dual Asdel sidewalls there. Coachman was really one of the very first to go double Asdel inside and out. You've got a aluminum framed laminated floor. Actually, the whole, I think, basically box structure of this is laminated. They're one of the few true six-sided aluminum structures out there. 200-watt solar. There's an expanded solar package. Pardon me. A back entry door lets you perform a kayakoscopy right up the backside of the sucker. So it could also be something that could haul bikes or a small kayak or something without necessarily a toy hauler. Now we're going to get through all kinds of things, good, bad, ugly, and in between sort of details. Let me know what you think about this one as we go. Let us know where they nailed it, where they failed it, and what you would change given the opportunity. And if you like the fair look at these things and the chance to voice your opinion, hit that subscribe button. Let's go. And lately here on these small campers, I've kind of been doing this. It just feels right to actually like walk into the door so that you really get to see the space the same way that I would see it. Like, you know, I don't like to use fisheye wide angle camera lenses. I try not, I'm certainly not using Hollywood movie magic. I'm not even using Elkhart movie magic. If you're not aware, Elkhart County is the county in Indiana where the vast majority of RVs in the United States are produced. Yeah, not even Amish movie magic on these. I try to, you see it the way that I see it as best as I can. So let me know if it's handy starting inside here. Oh, by the way, in case you're curious what this little thing is, I think the best way I can say it is, it's a secret basket tool that'll help us later, goof. That's going to come in handy in a few minutes here. First of all, again, this is kind of what I call like a towable truck camper layout, but what's funny is you need less of a vehicle to move one of these as compared to actually even a smaller size truck camper, because, you know, it's easier to tow than it is to carry a camper, if that makes any sense. Now, I eyeballed it and then I double checked. That's a 60 by 80 True Queen. Now, from the factory, you're basically getting that same blue backbreaker death wafer mattress that every manufacturer provides, but you want to get on like rvmattress.com or whatever, you can get some easy, very nice true queen size replacement mattresses there. And frankly, it might be possible to get one that's a little bigger, but it won't have any support under one side of it if you go wider. Now they do an interesting thing here. In your main cabin, they give us the bigger XL vent fan. And the idea behind that is on a rainy day, it can help force some decent airflow. But again, I don't use the wide-angle fisheye lenses. The RV does actually have a mini barrel to that laminated roof line. It's 6.5 foot to the sidewall, which is nice, but it barrels up another 2.5 inches to give us a little headroom, which is really handy. And the front windshield doesn't open for airflow, but everything else does. Everything else that you're going to see in the living cavity anyway. So you've actually got 4 breeze across windows for that vent fan to really kind of activate, which is kind of nice. Now, over here, I actually think that would be a perfect spot for like a wastebasket or a shoe organizer or something over there in that corner. Or I could potentially see somebody finagling some kind of countertop extension and repurposing that space, but there's a little extra pocket of area over there. On the opposite side of the RV, though, this I think is really cool. They gave it. I'm sorry, it's really tight quarters, so it's hard for me to sort of get in here. But they gave it like a bedside dresser stand with separate drawers, one for socks and one for undies. I mean, how do you get better than that in a tiny camper, folks? You got built-in Croc socks and undies storage. What more do you need? Anyway, by the way, anybody know kind of the origin and how Crocs kind of got their start? Actually, the movie Idiocracy is what sort of put them on the map. That's just one of those funny little stories. I love that outlet location right there. Again, right next to the bed. Now, you may have noticed, yes, it's a true queen, so a lot of couples will fit on it normally, but it is an east-west bed, so you do absolutely have to crawl over one another to get in and or out of the bed at night, which, along with the bathroom arrangement, that's probably going to be either a deal maker or deal breaker for some folks, kind of almost says to me, is this a couples camper or is this a solo camper? Because I think the world acts like everything is bunkhouses or couples camping. They forget that there's a lot of solo campers out there. Actually, last I knew, the vast majority of solo campers were actually lady campers. Like 90-ish% of them. So I don't know, ladies, how are you liking this thing? Since apparently statistically you're the most likely to be the solo camper in here. I wanted to make sure I kicked some light on down there and gave you a look at that power outlet. Having an outlet under the seating area like that is so handy. Now, you saw in our flyby footage, I'm a little over 6'1" with some very thick-soled, like on cloud shoes that I wear. I can walk under that thing. My head does not scrape my scalp against those air conditioner knobs right there. So I was happy to report that. Now, normally you would have a smaller vent fan in the actual bathroom space, but because this is a wet bath wombo combo, which you're either going to love or hate, I don't know. We'll get there in a second. They put it just outside the actual bathroom. What I wanted to do, I walked over here for a different reason. I walked over here to show you this space because we're going to get all the other storage open in a minute. And it occurred to me as I was looking at this, I forgot to display that for you. But notice how that is the gravity drop variety. That looks suspiciously like the 12-volt compressor fridge I've seen in Geo Pros before. It's, God bless America, I never remember if it's like 5.3 or 5.7 cubic foot of space. I always forget that crap. And they didn't really have room for like one primary control panel. So what they did is they gave us like a control tower, in a sense, over here, including the removable portable Bluetooth speaker. The RV doesn't have a built-in stereo system, and I'm okay with that myself. That means less wiring to go wrong and less holes screwed through the outside of my RV, creating more potential leak points. So, personally, I'm okay with all of that, but that's just my 2 cents right there. Back it up a little bit, we'll come back to the bathroom before we are all said and done here. This is, by the way, all pocket-screwed lumber core cabinetry. Handy little phone pocket, or I don't know, what would you use that little netting pocket over there for? I said phone pocket, but I kind of feel like you'd sleep with your head on the other side. I'm not sure. Now, in case you're curious, there was actually a period there where Apex Remote and Nano models had no TV hookups. They've reinstituted them. It would basically, you'd put a TV like up in that area. You'd actually put it on the side of that cabinet, and then you'd probably want like an articulated swing arm kind of thing. You may have noticed the power outlets on the lower kitchen cabinet. You can see that you do have another setup there, but they are awesome about giving us a maximized window right here. Notice, though, it does not have a stovetop exhaust vent hood. They went bigger window instead. That right there is reason number 37 that they put the bigger XL vent fan over here in the living room. One, it can create fresh airflow and breezes on a stagnant summer day. If you're not running the air conditioner for boondocking or whatever, maybe it's spring and fall and you prefer natural airflow, I don't know. Secondly, if you're cooking, it gives you a way to exhaust heat. You might notice this does not have a propane oven, nor is there any sort of option for it. Instead, what they did is they maximized the counter space and they went with the 2-burner stovetop over there. And they previously had used a larger sink in here. As we crack open the storage right about meow, as a cat would say, Take a look at that and let me know if you think the size of that sink is okay right there. Now, it doesn't really have a dedicated wastebasket space, but again, next to the countertop, I think they actually have a really good place to be able to put one. So I'm going to give them a pass on that, even though they didn't include it, in a way that also gives me the opportunity to get a bigger one. It lets you kind of get what you want and put it where you want it in a sense, but at least they did allow for space for it. Whether it did so by intent or not, I'm not sure. So working our way around here, this is probably the point where someone's either going to be like, finally, someone did it, or you're going to be like, well, you had me until we got to the bathroom. I think that this is going to be an absolute fork in the road for a lot of people. This has a wet bath. Some builders that make this layout, you actually kind of have a split bathroom in the back. Some don't. Like, every manufacturer's gone about this a little bit differently. But there's some folks who, what if you're like, I wish an RV had no bathroom because we use the park facilities. There's people who that absolutely applies to. I've seen people who will take a wet bath and use the park facilities, and instead of using this space for, showering and toilets, they'll actually convert it over into like a closet space. Because if you're noticing, this RV really doesn't have closet space. And if you're noticing, I was shocked actually, I could stand up in the shower. That I had to put every inch of that skylight to use, but I shockingly was able to stand up in that shower. The toilet space, if you notice here on the right side of the screen, like my elbow kind of bumps that shower door. The thing is though, to get that shower door to open, you have to pull in on it. So if your elbow's bumping it outwardly, the shower door doesn't tend to fly open. So one, you don't end up with water on the floor, and two, you don't put on an unintentional free show for the neighbors, because I don't know about you, but when I'm in the shower, dude, even I don't want to see that. And since this thing doesn't have any slides, normally I'd skip right over the road mode section of this video, but I want to kind of throw an idea at you. What if you're looking for an alternative cargo load? Like maybe you've got an e-bike or two, or a small, like one-person kayak or something, or just a bunch of totes. Well, I brought my handy laser measure there, and it's coming up with 9.5 feet, 9 foot 6 inches from the inside edge of the entry door threshold up to that bed base. It's not bad. I think that you can do some interesting creative things with that. Even if it's like, hey, you've got a big like outdoor easy up screen room you want to bring with you to cover the back door of this thing or something like that. That's kind of the thing, is that there's no real like awning coverage over the entry door on this. It doesn't have any sort of like batwing awning allowance or anything like that. And if you notice where the marker lights and everything are located, I don't know if you could even apply one aftermarket if you wanted to. What I do like is that very easy to reach spare tire that we have over there. And what I also like about that, even the spare tire is the same Goodyear Wrangler that you have on the ground. A lot of manufacturers, especially when you get these fancier tire packages, the spare tire they go cheap on. They didn't do that here. And if you notice the extra weights and measures view there, you do not need a grave digger, Bigfoot monster truck machine to tow this sucker around. It is interesting to me that the windows are an oval shape on the outside, but they are still rectangular on the inside. And if you look up top there, you can actually see the factory standard 200-watt solar panel peeking off over the edge of the roof line. By default, you've got a 30-amp controller and a 200-watt solar panel, which is pretty basic solar. For somebody like me who park camps, the solar panel will help keep the battery topped off while it's in storage and help avoid some problems there. When they do have a more advanced package. It's like 400 watts of solar, I think a 2,000 watt inverter or something like that. So, they do have some abilities there. Again, this is an all aluminum structured RV. So the whole, the roof, floor, front, rear, sidewalls, they're all a welded aluminum cage. Our sidewalls are what I call double Asdel. And I was quite surprised to see this. I've never heard of this before. I was advised basically for some weird specific code reasons, they weren't necessarily able to hook those two outlets together. They're still trying to find a way to make it happen, but weirdly, even though all of the holding tanks are right next to one another. It is a two-headed sewer monster, which I'm not an awesome fan of, but at least they're literally right next to one another. So I think what I would do is I'd probably empty my black tank first and probably run some water down the toilet a little bit. Then to help flush your hose, I'd hook it up to the gray tank after and then dump that. But I don't know. That was a weird thing. By the way, I think your holding tanks actually have tank heaters on these as well, but it's not a fully enclosed underbelly on these guys. What shocked me though, look at the redonkulous size of this front pass-through. This is crazy. Like, it's absolutely huge. Now I mentioned, remember I said like an easy up screen room. You don't have to put it through the back door and give it the cargooscopy. You can absolutely put it in that front compartment and have room to spare, which I think is cool. The nose cap looks like a freaking spaceship on this thing. It looks so cool. I love the green lights. Like everything about it just looks super fun to me. I do like it. And they did actually standardize the front tongue mount bike rack, which, I don't know, personally, I could take it or leave it. But that's just my opinion. You know, I say all the time, I'm not an authority. It's not my way or the highway. If I don't like it, it's not that it's a bad or stupid feature. Maybe it just isn't the way that I camp. Maybe it's the way you camp. Maybe you're like, absolutely, I'm glad that bike rack is there. And if so, leave a comment. Either way, I don't know. I don't care. I'm just sharing. Double propane tanks is also a really nice find on this. Generally, it's a guide, not a Bible, but usually the number of propane tanks you find on a travel trailer is the same as the number of axles you find on a travel trailer. So having double tanks with an auto changeover regulator, that's a rare and cool find over here. Also, a smaller, lighter single axle that's 7 foot wide with front stabilizer jacks as well as rears, that actually is less common. That's a really cool thing to find. The magnet holdbacks are a nice touch. They don't obviously have slam latches. Again, I try to be fair. I try to share ups and downs with everything. Their solar controller over here, one of the really cool things that they have, like their solar controller is intentionally mounted in the front pass-through because it also has a USB plug built right onto it. So like if you want to bring that portable Bluetooth speaker outdoors and, rock out to some music while you're out here camping in the middle of nowhere and keep that thing topped off and charged up, it actually gives you the perfect little place to do that. Or, like a little phone charger, something like that. Gives you a couple different options. The water heater is a tankless on-demand kind of water heater. It's a small RV, so it's not like, you're wasting a lot of water, pushing water through the entire thing. And a lot of people don't realize it only activates the propane burn when you turn it on, truly on demand. So it's not sitting there maintaining temperatures and burning up your propane. It only kicks on when you need it. Oh, the tires, by the way. You do have factory standard tire pressure monitoring included with this, which is really, really handy right there. I don't know that the spare tire is included in on that. So if you do have to swap to a spare, I would recommend when you can, getting back to your original tire and rim and getting that all recalibrated effectively. They're also including a little handy outdoor griddle so that it takes some of the pressure off the kitchen inside. You don't necessarily have to do all your cooking inside. And if you don't care about the griddle, you want to bring something else, at least it has the gas grill quick connect, so you can basically bring whatever you want with it. So what do you think? I will leave you some links in the description where you can see other builders who have a similar rear door concept to something like this. Which one's your favorite and why? What would you go with? Now, if you kind of like what you see here, but you're like, it's a little small, it's a little tight, I need a little more space. If you step up from the Apex Remote Series to the Apex Nanos, you go from 7 foot wide to 7.5 foot wide. The floor plans get a little bigger, but you're picking up some weight and some cost along the way too. So, they're making, Apex makes anything from like double slide tandem axle travel trailers all the way down to these single axle no slide little guys right here. So they have a very wide lineup that hits a lot of different sections of the marketplace. So let me know what you think about it. And if you like how we're giving you the good with the bad with everything in between, hit that subscribe button and we'll catch you the next time. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.